Welcome back to the channel. Today we are at the launch of the ID.5 here in Ireland and we're very excited about it. Now, VW made great strides with electric vehicles over the last number of years. ID.3 was a good introduction, but it was the ID.4 that really started to capture the hearts of Irish buyers anyway and really hitting high numbers. Let's get stuck into the details. Personally, I really like the styling of the ID range. I have to say it's quite good, and the ID.5 is no exception for me. Now, for those of you looking at this, you'll say, what's the difference? It's the exact same as an ID.4. Yeah, pretty much it is. You'll notice some difference down here with this honeycomb effect that stretches all the way across, although the GTX actually has a slightly different bumper. The GTX version of this ID.5, that is. IQ lights are standard. I really like these things. They look cool, like eyeballs, matrix LED lights, look absolutely fantastic. We're on 19-inch rims here, the Haymar style. These are standard and this colour is standard as well. We've got, can't see it now at the moment, but illumination right across. Now we don't get the illuminated badge. European regulations don't allow that, but you do see it in some markets. But overall, what do you think? Let us know in the comments. Now, a few differences, and I'm blocking off the big one here behind me because I want to draw your attention to the body colour trim down at the end. The ID.4, you got a lot of black plastic trim down there, but we still got flush door handles. Oh, there we go. Automatic. Very nice. A little bit of black plastic trim down there. Body colour bumpers. Got the Pro badge just to indicate that. 19-inch Haymars, as we said already. But it's here. This is where the action is. The real difference with the ID.4. It's cut off, and the ID.4 typically comes across the back a little bit before it drops down at a sharper angle. This is much sleeker, gradually drops down with that kind of silver trim that forms a bow around the cabin. But you don't actually lose that much space, and we'll look into that now in a minute. Now, the ID.5 is not a small car. 4.6 meters long, about just over 1.6 meters tall. So it's good space, has good presence on the road. But with this different form factor, well, not a different form factor, but with this sloping roof just here, I expected it to lose a good few litres over the ID.4, but that hasn't actually happened. In fact, we've still got 549 litres in there. Great space, huge big aperture as well, so if you're getting buggies or even small bits of furniture in, it's so easy to do. Almost flat surface just there. There's, maybe a 1 inch of a lip, but that's okay. You can still sit on it if you want, get goods in and out. False floor there with a little bit more space underneath, and then another false floor down into tyre repair kits, things like that. A little bit of space just on the side here. Comes with some netting as well if you want to strap some goods down. 40-60 split on the back seats there with a ski hatch as well. You can drop the seats down, get rid of the partial shelf if you want. That expands out to about 1,560 litres once you've got the seats down. So really, really good space, and surprising considering that coupe style. But yeah, very practical. It's going to work for a lot of Irish families. Close her up. Sitting inside the ID.5, it's quite comfortable really. I like the playful elements just down there, the pause and the play symbols on the two pedals. But yeah, a really comfortable place because steering wheel feels nicely weighted as well when you're driving around, but we'll get onto that more later on. I like the feels of the materials. It's not luxurious, but still feels very, very good. A lot of piano black around. I like the contrasted materials as well. There's some nice cross stitching across the top here. Plenty of space. It feels so airy here. We've got the panoramic sunroof that goes all the way back to the C-pillar, just at the back of the head of the person who would be sitting in the rear there. Now, driver's binnacle just here in front. It's small enough, but that's okay. That's practical. You can see everything on it, and what do you ever use that for anyway? Speed and things like that, of course. But then you've got the 12-inch display over here, which is a nice little upgrade on the ID.4. We're also working with the 3.0 software, and we're expecting 3.1 to come later on this summer. But yeah, feels nice, great functionality. Some people aren't mad about the buttons here. Well, they're not even buttons, that kind of haptic feedback ones. There's not enough backlighting for some people on the buttons here. At night time, that can be a touch difficult, but overall it's really, really nice. People are going to enjoy this. Now, I stepped into the back just to show you what the proportions are in the car. So I have that set up for myself at 6'2", and to be honest, I probably put it back a little bit more than I could. I could easily go forward, but here we are. I'm 6'2" and I've still got space in front. Absolutely fantastic. I think this would handle two people of 6'3", 6'4" without any difficulty. And to be honest, if you had two people who happen to be 6'6", you just ask them to move forward a little bit. Space-wise in the back, it's not as good as the front. Now, my head isn't touching the roof here, and the fact that I've got the panoramic sunroof just makes it feel a lot more airy in here. But yeah, great space. Being on the MEB platform, battery pack tucked underneath. We don't have great thigh support here, but that's not an issue. I mean, if you're going on a cross-continental trip, maybe, but in general, no, absolutely fine. Yeah, I have to say, it's great. In terms of driving dynamics, I'm finding the ID.5 very comfortable. It's quite poised over bumps.
Please
small.
repeat.
No, go away. Whenever I say ID.5, she comes back on.
Voice control to
No,
operate
go away.
the radio and media navigation system.
How do I turn you off? Okay, I'm gonna have to use code word. I can't say ID.5 anymore. Oh, maybe I've turned it off. Okay. So, driving the ID.5, quite comfortable, I have to say. Takes the bumps, ramps, potholes very, very well. Yeah, I like the way the suspension is set up. And then when you put it into a corner, which you're never really going to be doing that much in cars like this anyway, yeah, it feels relatively poised, you know, compared to, let's say I had the MG ZS EV there a few months ago, and that lolled it out in the corners a little bit, you know, more than this one. So yeah, feels good. If you are looking for a bit more performance and power and better traction, you can trade up in packages, and then also you can of course go to the GTX, which has it as standard. But yeah, it feels very good overall. I think what this car is going to be bought for, it's going to be a few taxis are going to get it, families, people who just want a bit of space for throwing the dogs in the back and going down to the beach, or you know, putting a few things in the back and going to visit family a couple of 100 kilometers away. It drives really, really well for that. Yeah. Let's talk about the ID.5 in terms of range now. We'll take a step back to batteries. This is based on the MEB platform, which you probably have heard people mentioning before. It's that kind of skateboard design that VW are building many of their VW brand cars out on. But this has got an 82 kilowatt hour battery, 77 of which is usable. So that gives a WLTP range of 516 kilometers, which sounds absolutely fantastic. Now WLTP can be a little bit optimistic. So for example, if you want to, where I'm here now in South Dublin, and I want to hit the road and go down to Dingle, and I blast this down the motorway at full tilt, you might just about make it. I think you're low 300s in terms of range for this if you're blasting down the motorway. But having said that, I think with the typical kind of driving that I do year round, or no, more, let's talk about the summer now, because that's the kind of weather we're having. I think I would crack 500 out of this. But overall, you know, if you're looking at this going, what's the range? What am I going to get out of it? You know, there's no direct answer, but I think in that kind of mid 400s is a very realistic expectation for people. You know, doing a little bit more motorway driving, okay, let's say 400 if you're just pottering around town. I think you'll get 500 out of this if you're a little bit careful, which is really, really good, isn't it? And then what happens when you want to charge it back up? Well, AC is quite decent news. It's 11 kilowatts on AC, which is great if you find those public posts that are littered around. Now at home, you're probably going to be limited to 7.4. And if that's the case, you're looking at pretty much 12 hours to go from 0 to 100%. But then people never really do that. You know, you might plug in at 20, but look, you're going to be full by the time you wake up for work the next morning. Then on DC fast charging, this can take up to 135 kilowatts, thankfully, which is a pretty good number, really, especially here in Ireland, where most of the chargers at this stage are 50 kilowatt chargers. Now this will take a peak of 135, but at about 30% you're dropping down, and then by the time you get to 80% state of charge, you're hitting that 50 kilowatt limit anyway. But yeah, I mean, it's plenty for typical Irish usage. You know, we don't do road trips like they do over in the US. This will do very, very nicely. Well, I'm pulling back into the car park here. Huge thanks to VW Ireland for inviting us along today. I really enjoyed the experience, and hoping to get into it for a bit more time again in the future. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Give the video a like if you can, and we'll see you on the next one.